Hey guys, it's Matt Fay here from Narrative Hub and bringing you another episode of Your Narrative. I want to thank you all for jumping on, whether you're listening in your car on the way to work or whatnot, or whether you're on the TV show. Really great to have you here. So on the show, we talk about storytelling. That's the thing that we're most passionate about, and we talk to people with interesting stories, whether they be business owners or people that just have lived an interesting life, and we're always keen to hear about them and their ups and downs, things that they've gone through, and just basically hear their stories. So today I'm with Ryan Tuckwood. Ryan, thanks for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No, it's awesome to meet you in person too.
Yeah,
it's been we've been conversing a little bit. We met on one of the Gary Vaynerchuk groups, and I think you're actually the third person this week I've met off that group.
Yeah, so, beautiful.
Yeah,
it's a good group. There's some good people in there.
Definitely, some interesting people there for sure. So, look, I won't get too much into it. I'll let Ryan introduce himself. But Ryan's a successful business owner that lives on the Gold Coast. And Ryan, why don't you tell the viewers and the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Ryan Tuckwood. I'm 35 years old now, unfortunately. I'm the CEO and head of corporate training here at ISR Training on the Gold Coast. It was quite an introduction, actually, so thank you for that. We are essentially sales and business coaches. So we go into businesses and we increase their revenue through ethical sales training. It's a process that we've developed called SWISH. It stands for Selling with Integrity and Selling Honestly. So obviously get into my background a little bit more moving forward, but I come from not a sales background, and the sales training I got when I originally arrived was, how do we put it, quite ruthless, and I didn't enjoy it. So we want to show people that you can sell with ethics, sell with integrity, and you don't need to lie, bully, or manipulate to make a sale. So, and
that's also what Swish is about, basically.
That's exactly what Swish is about, yeah.
Yeah, and that would, I'd imagine that you'd be cutting through the noise a little bit with a method like that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a little bit of resistance to it, as there was with the recruitment company that I own as well. We disrupt the market, and we're unapologetic about it. We want to ruffle feathers as we go about it, but I think there's a resistance to sales and being a salesperson or being in the industry in its entirety, and we want to try and remove that. That good people, nice people that have got integrity can actually make money in this industry if they're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I mean, getting back to that sort of selling honestly and things like that. I mean, I think a lot of people these days are really wising up to a lot of those tactics anyway. Like most people really probably know what the old methods are about. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think over the years, I mean, I didn't start out in sales. I'm from an engineering background. I was actually a mechanical maintenance engineer for 8 years, believe it or not. So I was one of those people that had preconceived misconceptions that every salesperson was out just to make a dollar and make a commission. But moving forward now into 2018, there's education available left, right, and centre. We put a lot of education out ourselves, and the consumer's more aware than ever before. So if you're using some of the old school tactics, the bait and switch, the feel, felt, found, all of that type of sales, which has still got merit, and you're just doing it to make a commission, the customer can definitely see through it.
Nice. And so you're definitely cutting through that noise by implementing things in a more in a better way. Just really so. Yeah,
I think the main word and that we live by is integrity, and ethical sales in its entirety.
Great. Well, Ryan, I'd like to know a little bit about when you moved to Australia and sort of the circumstances around that.
A bit of a strange one. So, as I touched on previously, I was an engineer for 8 years in the UK. Got to 27 years old and started to realise I had a girlfriend of 5 years actually, and realised that I felt there was more out there for me. I was working 12-hour days, 12-hour nights, covered in grease and oil.
I've been there. I used to work in the mines, so I know what that's about.
I nearly got into the mines when I moved over here, and I'm so glad I didn't, because I would have just been doing it to chase the money.
Exactly, as most of them do, really.
For sure.
I've been in that boat, so yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you understand what it's like.
Yeah.
And I've always been quite interested in fashion, so the idea of being covered in grease and oil, although I was a good technician, it just didn't really appeal to me. I love dressing up. And anyway, I eventually bit the bullet in 2010, jumped over here on a working holiday visa. On a working holiday visa, there's not as many options for you job-wise. I fell into a little bit of retail work at Pacific Fair, just working in a clothes store. And then one of my clients was actually a call centre manager. If anybody's worked in call centres out there, they'll know that that's not the most enjoyable place to be.
Bit ruthless at times?
It was ruthless. And to be quite honest, I sucked at it. I was really bad, genuinely really bad. So I had two options. I was either going to go back to the UK, I'm from a place called Leicester. Don't know if you know Leicester.
I know of it, like just being a cricket fan. I know of Leicester, but yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So from Leicester, I was either go back to Leicester or master the job that I had at the time, and I didn't have many other options. So if anybody has ever been to Leicester, you'll understand why I chose option 2. And I became obsessed, and I mean literally obsessed with sales, negotiation, behavioral science, neuro-linguistic programming, body language, absolutely everything with regards to sales and negotiation. So for me, that was my major transition, because once I learned that sales is a process and a formula, it all kind of fell into place. And that the same company that I was at originally that I sucked at, I ended up working my way up to be general manager of.
There you go.
So I did that, ended up being pretty good at sales, and then in 2014 I broke away and with my now business partner Jack Corbett, and we started ISR training.
That's sensational, mate. So your back was sort of up against the ropes, and you had to start throwing some punches, basically.
Literally, I don't tell too many people this, but I had $2 to my name at one stage. So I was living on my mate's bathroom floor on a lilo, just on Surf Parade down there in Broadbeach. Literally on a lilo. One night it burst on me, and in the middle of the night, and I'm just in a pitch black room, and I literally
you've been like, what's going on?
But if you'd have seen me on Facebook, you'd think I was living the dream in Surfers Paradise. But it is what it is. Like I think it's good for me. I know it's a little bit cliche and cheesy to say that it's character building, but I'm glad I went through that cold calling stage, because now when I try and educate people in that industry or in a sales industry, I understand how hard and painful it can be.
Yeah, and you're not talking to them like in a condescending way. Like you've been you've probably been where they have in one way or another. So do you feel like you can then relate to a lot of people, being in recruitment? Yeah,
absolutely. So the ISR was designed more so for people like me, I think, in essence. If you met my business partner Jack very quickly, he's only 26, but he's quite charismatic. He's out there, he's ultimately confident, he's more of a natural salesman, whereas I'm not. I've had to really fight to establish myself in this industry. So ISR was created to find more people like me that are going to struggle, but you need a job. So I'll get you a job, but I know you're going to struggle, so we're going to support you for the first 10 weeks into that as well. And then over the last 4.5 years, we've been able to grow that brand enough that we now hold credibility and merit to go into businesses independently without having to recruit for them. We just go and do their sales training.
And so when you talk about that sort of 10 weeks or so, how do you go about mentoring them, and how do you go about training them and making sure that they've got all the tools that they need? Yeah,
good question. We've actually developed, and actually take you back to the start. Initially it was a 4-day training course. So we had people would come in, they would spend Monday to Thursday in with us going through really intense sales training. And when I say intense, it was a lot of information. And then on the Friday, what we did was get all the business owners that we represent, they would come in as a panel. So they would sit across the room from you, and they would have one question each to ask you, and every job seeker that had just completed that training course would have 9 minutes to present themselves to these businesses. And that's how we recruited, a little bit like the X Factor audition. It worked really well. We had a 96.2% recruitment rate, success rate, which was really good, but we were capped out at about 14 people in a classroom. So what we then developed back in 2015, I think it was the same training in a digital format. So everybody now that goes into work, we give 12 months access to full digital training, 29 modules, all based around sales, marketing, communication, building rapport, gathering intel, and they also get 45 minutes of coaching every week with one of our coaches.
And that's face to face. So the other stuff digitally, I mean, they can then go through at their own leisure. Is that kind of the idea? Yes, there's two parts to it. So there's not an awful lot of pressure on them to go straight in and finish it completely. However, there's a lot of people that have no experience whatsoever in this industry. So the reason our businesses would give people with no experience a chance is on the basis that they've completed that training. So we managed to get lots of people, 17-year-olds all the way up to 83, I think is our oldest person, a gentleman named Ed Bajan, into work with no experience whatsoever based on the training that we provide. So we do encourage them to take on board the training. And that obviously, just being digital, you can scale with that model. You're not fixed to the face-to-face stuff all the time.
Absolutely. So at the moment we've got people that have purchased our sales training and our business coaching all around the world. Obviously I've got a lot of contacts back in the UK, so it's going well back over in the UK. This side of the world, my wife's from Auckland, New Zealand. So we're starting to grow it over there as well.
Yep.
But digitally, literally opens the world up for you. So it was a good move.
Yeah, sounds excellent. Yeah, a lot of people obviously jumping on those formats these days. Did you find that when you were first looking to scale, looking to make that course, there was a lot of like rolling the sleeves up and getting all that out there? Because I think that some people, not all, but like some people think the idea of making an online course and things like that, you know, oh yeah, I'll just put this thing out there, I'll just get the money to come in, and it's not really like that, is it?
Well, that was probably me. I thought that. Yeah, I'm not.
How soon did you realise it wasn't like that?
Yeah, probably about 2 days. I'm not a technically gifted person by any stretch of the imagination. Genuinely bought my first computer. It's sitting over there right now. 5 years ago, when we started planning this business, I was 30 years old. I'd never owned a computer before in my life. Wow. So I didn't have any idea about what you guys do behind the scenes. Like right now, it's just me and you sitting in a chair, but I'm sure everybody appreciates there's a lot of things going on.
There's a lot of moving parts and things that happen behind the scenes.
And I'm sure with the production side of things as well, which goes completely over my head. So yeah, it was harder than we expected. But once it was done, it was a really, really good feeling, and it meant we could scale very quickly. So 14 in a classroom, all of a sudden we were placing 35, 40 people a week into work. So it wasn't a matter of just, it was doubling our revenue straight away.
And were you finding that with that scalability, were you getting more people from your local area, or were you able to go wider into outside the Gold Coast or Brisbane, or like your demographic as such? Yeah,
we tried to stay relatively local because we wanted to be accountable to the people that we placed into work, and we still wanted to offer that face-to-face training. So we have recruited down in Melbourne, Sydney, and Gold Coast, and up in Brisbane as well. But I'd say our niche is definitely Gold Coast and South Brisbane sort of area.
Yeah, because you don't want to be just a name behind a screen or something. No. You want to still have that face-to-face relationship with your clients and customers.
Yeah, the personal touch, what we've actually created as part of Swish is a 12-step negotiation ladder. Whereas if anybody's ever done Jordan Belfort training, the straight line persuasion, everybody knows that finishes at the sale. We don't believe that a sale finishes when you take somebody's money. Your customer experience begins, and then you got to turn them into a loyal client. So we really want to wow them afterwards, and without being face-to-face and interactive, we feel that we lost that a little bit.
Right.
So although we've gone digital, we're still very personable throughout as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great strategy.
Yeah,
awesome. So mate, we just spoke about the fact that you're doing a sales job in another business. You worked your way up through that, learnt all those skills, got to the top there. Was there a point where you decided to then move into the other business? Like, how did you go about all of that?
I don't think there is a definitive point in time where I just went, I want to be a business owner. I still don't really consider myself a business owner, which sounds really weird. I know.
Why do you think that?
I don't like titles.
Okay.
Me and Jack won Gold Coast Young Entrepreneur of the Year award, and I don't like being called an entrepreneur. It's I'm in the entrepreneur Gary Vee group, which is going to sound really weird. I just think it's a bit of a fad. I mean, it's something that's thrown around an awful lot. I think I'm just somebody that outworks a lot of people, and I'm not technically the best at anything, but I work harder than most people.
And the natural progression probably through that is business owner. Is that maybe a little bit of?
I think that's a fundamental.
That is?
Yeah, I think you've got to have that underlying work ethic. That's definitely something I got from my parents. Like look at my parents right now. My mum works 70, 80 hours a week to pay the bills. They don't own a house, they rent. My dad's had cancer for the last 17 years, so he physically cannot work. So for me, first and foremost was that why I had that burning desire to try and help them out of that situation. And that still today, if you go into my other office over there, you'll see I've got a vision board. Right at the top of that vision board is a house for them over here. So I've got a plan till 2022 to it's a 4-year plan, started off as a 5-year plan, to pay for them to come over here and live the rest of their life in the way I feel they deserve. So that was always burning at the back of my mind. And then in the job that I was in, I won't name the company, but it wasn't the most ethical company in the world, and it wasn't selling morally aligned with who I was as a salesperson or who I wanted to be. But what I really enjoyed about the job was the people that I worked with and the training that I provided. I started to recognize that people were coming in and they were starting, and I was their trainer, and they were getting results very quick. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm a good trainer. So I started to then learn more about being a trainer and an educator, and how to provide my message to other people. And that's when, behind the scenes then, it would have been about February 2014, something like that. Jack and I, Jack's phenomenal salesman, say a lot more natural than I am, started designing this behind the scenes. So we'd go back to my house every night. We both work. Jack actually retired. I tell a lie. He retired at like 24.
Yeah.
And that's how successful he's been. So he was in a bit of a retirement stage. He was just doing bit jobs here and there whenever he wanted. He didn't need to work. So he'd come around my house once I finished work about 6 o'clock, and then we'd work on it on our dining room table. We'd have sheets and sheets of paper. What's paper? Paper. And we'd just be planning this training business that we wanted to create. We were like, we're good salesmen. Can we train people and educate people like I've been?
Yeah.
Even if they don't believe they've got the ability to do it. So yeah, there was just sheets of paper everywhere. It wasn't really a business plan as such.
You're just trying to get it all out there and
just get everything
put
here.
the jigsaw puzzle together and see how it'll fit together.
That was literally it, and it was like, okay, so Jack, what do you know about objection handling? Okay, Ryan, what do you know about intros, building rapport, beating the gatekeeper, gathering intelligence? And we'd write content, and all of a sudden we had this course. So it was like, how do we sell this? We enjoyed the face-to-face nature, and that's kind of where it grew from there, really. We hired a really expensive office in 50 Cavill Avenue, which is the biggest mistake we could have made. Don't hire expensive offices in your first year of business.
So you weren't starting off maybe as lean as you could have been.
No, we did not start lean. No, we were fatty as hell.
Yeah. And do you think that some people also too, like, it's great to have that flashy start, or that you think when you go out in business, like, I do need to have the big office, I do need to have do you think people have that mentality a little bit?
I think so. I think that's probably the biggest mistake we see as we're now business coaches as well. So we go into a lot of businesses or even entrepreneurs and startups. The first thing they want to talk about is their business card and their website and what it looks like. And it doesn't matter. If your knowledge is there and you're an expert in your field and you're truly passionate about it, business cards don't matter. I've run out of business cards at the moment. I've got a seminar in front of 75 people tonight. I'm not going to have a business card to hand out. It won't matter. They'll find me somewhere. I'm everywhere at the moment. So focus on what drives revenue. Sales drive revenue. If you can't sell, then you're never going to make any money, full stop. That was what saved us. We had an ability to sell, I would say. But we definitely weren't lean when we started.
Yeah, and then so obviously did something happen when you're like, look, this is just, we could be doing so much better maybe?
We've got business coaches ourselves, and we practice what we preach. I've got 2 mentors myself, and once I started understanding about squeezing your margins, you're doing well, you're doing great, but you can squeeze that an awful lot by not actually doing anything extra. So you're still utilising the same amount of energy and time, but you're actually making more money. I was like, okay, now I'm starting to understand business. And that takes experience. We've made a lot of mistakes, we're still making mistakes.
No, that's awesome that you're able to just go through that transition. It's great. So just touching again on the Young Entrepreneur Awards. I know you're saying that you don't feel like one, but I'm pretty sure when you get an award, that means that you are one.
It was scary as hell, but it felt good. It felt good.
I'm interested to know, is there a process to go through for that? Like, does someone nominate you, or how does that all happen?
So strangely enough, we got nominated 2 years ago, 2016. Jack actually nominated me. So I got a phone call out of the blue, and they said, Ryan, you've been nominated for the Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award 2016. And I was really confused, and I was like, do you mind me asking who nominated me? And they was like, a gentleman named Jack Corbett. I'm like, that's my business partner. So ultimately I had to re-nominate him back. So nominating him back, we have to submit our story. They rip the business to pieces. They go through all of your accounts, your taxes, make sure that you're actually showing the returns that you suggest you're showing. I think they do a lot of market research with your clients and everything as well. And we made the final, so we went there. It was a brilliant event, and we didn't win in 2016. So from there, so originally it wasn't a target, but then from there we were like, I want that now. I would like the awards. It would be nice. It's good credibility. And then second year, before we even got a chance to apply, they actually approached us and asked us to reapply. So I'm assuming that's a good sign. You were up there and they wanted you to come back. We were in a different category. So first year it was professional services, and we were up against accountants, financial advisors, which is not really our niche. Second year we were in community services, so we solved a community problem, which was job seekers and job retention. So that's what we won the award for. So social Entrepreneur of the Year, I think it was. Yeah.
Oh, great. Cool. Yeah, it's got it forever now, mate. So you can say that you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I'm not. Well, you can't take it away from us. And I know some of the guys on the phone when they're talking to people, they talk about it. It is credibility. And we were fortunate enough as well to meet Mayor Tom Tate as well. We won his innovation award for the digital training that we've created.
The putting everything online and easily accessible for people.
Which was pretty cool. He's a good guy.
Awesome. Congratulations on that one, mate.
Yeah, cheers.
So you won the award for ISR. That was what the Young Entrepreneur Award.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And what I sort of mentioned earlier on is that you're quite successful in the way that you're actually part of 3 different businesses.
Yeah.
And one of the other ones is Tuckwood and Associates.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that one and what you do with that business?
Yeah, absolutely. So Tuckwood and Associates came about as we were coaching in multiple businesses, as I've touched on previously, and a lot of those businesses were in the real estate industry, specifically in the real estate investment sector. So Jack and I both already had our real estate licenses and principal licenses, so we just figured, why are we not doing this? Like, we're coaching other people to go out there and do this role. We're good at sales. ISR had got to a stage, we were about 2 years in, ISR had got to a stage where it was running independently-ish of us. We've got a really good team behind us that run that to the standard that we expect. So we broke away. The office came up bang opposite the ISR training office as well. So they're right on the same floor, literally 5 meters apart.
It was fate.
It was fate. It was meant to be. And the beautiful thing about that business was, because we made a lot of mistakes with ISR stage 1, and we had it up and running and profitable in about 4 months. Which we're really happy with. Passion-wise, Jack probably more so than I am from a real estate perspective. Like, he's a human calculator, he's great with numbers, etc. So he's got a true passion for property development, building, etc. Whereas I really enjoy the interactions with people and helping them purchase their first investment property. So it's not a listing agency. It's more so meeting people that have got equity already within a property and showing them how they can either leverage off that equity or purchase through superannuation or whatever they want to go, or whichever way they want to go about it. So it's going really, really well.
Awesome. And that must have been great. Like you were mentioning, how 4 months you were able to get that up and going. What lessons did you learn from ISR that you were able to then transition into Tuckwood, even though it's a different sort of business, I guess? Yeah,
different industry, but the process of running a business for us is the same every single time, regardless of the industry. That's actually one of the things that a lot of people will say to us, you don't understand, my industry is different to yours. Sales is sales, business is business. Put your processes in the right order and you'll get it right. Probably the biggest lesson I've learned is to delegate responsibilities for things that you're not good at. As I said earlier, I'm not great on a computer. I wasn't great at social media. I certainly can't build websites. I tried to build the Tuckwood website, this is the truth, and I probably spent about 2 or 3 weeks trying to build a website, and I just used a template and it still took me ages. I then brought in a social media guru, a lady called Courtney that works for us. She's phenomenal. She builds websites, she builds apps, and for the investment that we made in her, she ripped my website to pieces in about a day and did something 10 times better. So investing in people that know more than I do instead of trying to wear all the hats at one stage. I get, when you're bootstrapping at the start, like, I understand that you've got to be the cleaner, the admin, the reception, and you do. But there's certain things that you just cannot do. So get the revenue driving in and then invest in people. Don't invest, it's always spoken about, Gary Vee talks about it all the time, don't invest in your lifestyle, invest back into your business. And it just rings so true. I spent way too much money still on things that I didn't need within the business. People is what you need to help it scale. Definitely.
And were there certain areas that you still maybe tried to make yourself just a little bit better, but you didn't quite think, I need to be the expert in this? Like, was there a need to just maybe learn a few tricks to get you by rather than just delegate everything possible?
Yeah, I think the inner salesman in me and the inner perfectionist, I've got OCD, means that I want to learn everything or a little bit about everything. So I can at least hold a conversation. Like, I can throw a few social media words at you and you might think I've got a little bit of knowledge, but if you've got knowledge, you're coming over the top of me very quickly. So I stay in my lane. We offer social media, digital marketing strategies as coaching as well, but it's not with me. Do you know what I mean? So I need to know a little bit about it to be able to advertise it and drop it in there.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not going to get caught out by going out of my lane.
No, exactly. And I think that you've pretty much nailed it there, and that like you need to know enough. You need to know enough to be like, okay, well, this person knows how to do X, Y, Z. I can see from their, portfolio, resume, whatever, they've done X, Y, Z. I know that that's the person for the job, rather than like, what is Facebook?
Yeah, exactly.
What is an app? Like what, that kind of thing. Is that kind of what you mean by just knowing enough to identify in someone that we should hire this person, or we need this thing implemented? Is that what you mean by just kind of knowing enough? Just
having an ability to have a conversation about it and to touch on it. I mean, from Tuckwood and Associates perspective, the associates essentially are the mortgage brokers, the financiers, the lenders, the builders. They're the experts in their field. Like, we could try and take all of that on if we want, and don't get me wrong, we've got an ambition to become the builders and the developers ourselves and have a one-stop shop. But right now that's not our area of expertise. So just stay focused on what you truly understand. That
makes a lot of sense. And back to what you just said about potentially being a one-stop shop. Do you think that people could perhaps make some mistakes going in thinking that they can do all those things at once?
Yep.
Because because you've done it. When did you do that with ISR, or is it just other things that you've done?
Predominantly ISR. Well, not even just ISR. I mean, owning multiple businesses is a challenge in itself, and trying to juggle the workload. And you can spread yourself too thin
and get nothing done.
And you get nothing done, or you get things done that are 50%. So instead of giving 50% to 5 things, give 100% to something. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's one of the biggest mistakes. So this year we've made a concerted effort. We only spend about 10 to 12 hours a week in Tuckwood and Associates anyway, between me and Jack, but it's really productive. Like we've sold over $7 million worth of property in the last 8 months doing that for 10 to 12 hours a week. So that's
sensational.
That's a good use of our time. But this year we made a concerted effort that we will become the #1 sales training organisation in Australia by the end of this year. So we're just tripling down on that side of things. Just getting our names and our brand out there.
And that, to me, like, that strategy makes a bit more sense than trying to be like, we're going to do this thing, it's going to be so big, and we're going to do all these things. Getting good at like 1 or 2 or even 3 things in that field is probably a better way, isn't it? To just be like, great in that, all right, this is kind of running itself, so to speak, or with minimal input. Now we can look at like the next thing. Is that kind of how you go about it?
That's exactly it. Get one to the stage where you've got a trusted team behind you, which we've got a fantastic team of coaches coming in behind us as well, that can run it, and we're still getting fantastic reviews from their coaching and the service that they provide. So now I can start working on that business instead of in it. And if I've had another venture in the background that was kind of ticking away at the back of my mind, now I can start it. I think trying to start them all at the same time is tough, and that's why you get there's a lot of talkers and not as many doers, unfortunately. The entrepreneurs out there, and that's because they've got so many ideas, and they're not following their true passion. They're just trying to follow the money. If you do it with the consumer in mind, like genuinely, and I know that again it's quite a cliche, but when you're sitting in your room by yourself, are you genuinely doing what you're doing to make money, or is it to solve a problem in the community? And if you do it with the second one in mind, then the money will just be a natural byproduct. I think I said earlier, Jack and I didn't pay ourselves for the first 2 years. Everything went back into the business because we had a passion. We knew this could work. We knew there were more people out there like me that struggled in sales, and we found hundreds of them, thousands of them. So they are there, and they're still in work. A lot of them work here now, and we did poach them. It helped us build our team as well.
I was going to say that would probably help, because you'd be able to see these people like face to face for like a ongoing period, and you'd be able to go, I'd like you in here.
It was accidentally the perfect recruitment process internally. So we got an opportunity to put them into somebody else's job, so they were paying their wage for us, and then see how they engaged in the digital training. Did they come in for their weekly coaching? What are they like as a person? How many sick days do they have? Are they reliable? And we've had 2 sick days in 4.5 years amongst the whole team. So it seems to work.
And that makes a huge difference when you're in a good culture, like in a good environment, doesn't it? Do you think that makes an impact on people taking sickies or taking time off and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, culture is number one within a business. If you've got a poor culture, you're going to have sick days, you're going to have high turnover, which is all waste within your business.
It is, yeah.
So you've got to keep training new people up. We've lost 3 people since we started, and 2 of them left because they were pregnant. So they had to leave. Essentially, we like to think we've built a good culture, but I don't think it can really be taught. I think it can be caught. So I think that comes down to setting the right example. As I again touched on earlier, I've never been the most gifted at sales, but I will outwork everybody. So I'm the first one in, I'm the last one out, I'm going above and beyond, I'm giving my clients the service that I want everybody else to give. They're now seeing the fruits of my labor, they're seeing the lifestyle that I've created for myself and my clients, and ultimately now they want it. So they just follow what we do.
And you're almost, to me it seems like you're a bit of the product of your own product. Like you're trying to be like lead by example, not like lead by what you're saying to people, like you should do this, you should do this. Well, this is what I did, this is what I'm doing, this is what I intend to do, and this is what I've created. Is that something that you perhaps try and instill in the staff or the people coming through? Yeah,
I think originally I didn't know I was doing that consciously, but
probably a good thing.
But probably is. And but absolutely. I mean, I've had bosses that shout down at you. They micromanage. You come off a phone call or you come out of a sales interaction and they just rip you to pieces. We're very much a praise in public, criticise in private, and just trying to empower the staff to want to go above and beyond. Like we don't have set working hours per se. Like we've got our KPIs, and there's a rough working hours of 8:30 till around about 5 o'clock. But we've got a team that turn up at 7:30 in the morning. We've got a seminar this evening. They all volunteer their time. They'll be with us till 9:30, 10 o'clock tonight. They don't get paid any extra for it. But we treat them well. I like to think they do.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, because I've been involved in businesses where I've had that, and you know what it makes me do? I'm happy to go on record saying that if you want to talk down to me or to most people, like you'll get zero if you treat me like a human being. Like I'm going to go that extra step because of culture or like what's there. Money aside, you know, money's important. Like I'm sure everyone realizes that you need it, whether you like to, you know, think that you may not. But I just think that's great that you have that environment where you don't really set work hours, because if you were to set very constrictive time frames and parameters around things, do you think that probably is going to hinder creativity and hinder that culture? Yeah,
I think so. I think what we like to do is I say empower them and give them that flexibility in all areas of their life. So like every Monday morning we come in and we go through our weekly goals. We've got 5 areas that we focus on, which are not just business orientated. So that gives them an ability to express everything else that they're doing. We're a family. I know again that sounds a bit cheesy, but we're genuinely a family. Not having set lunch breaks. It's if you're on a roll and you're on some good calls, just work through it if you want. The results are what you want at the end of the day, isn't it? You don't really want people punching a clock. You want results, don't you? You just need them to be there for roughly a certain amount of time. And results, 100%. We need results. Like I said earlier, sales dictates operations. If you're not making money, you're going to go under very quickly. But most importantly, from our perspective, they have to be doing it with the customer in mind. So if I ever heard one tonally or something delivered in the wrong tone over the phone to somebody where it might be a little bit condescending or patronising or even abusive, they'd be straight out the door. It just doesn't happen. Number one is to maintain the reputation of the company, because we're patient. We're very patient. We know where the business is going. We've seen 300% growth within the last 4 years. We're anticipating another 300% growth in this next 12 months alone, just because of the changes that we've made. So we're patient with it, and I think that's because we're just following our own mantra. Always give the client more than they expect to get. Patience is the key, and then investing in your staff, because you know if you're investing in them, hopefully they're going to stick around. They're going to be highly skilled. That's pretty much the go. I think I might have this wrong, but I think it's Richard Branson that says obviously treat your staff so well, or train your staff so well that they can get a job anywhere, but treat them so well that they never want to leave. Exactly. And I think if I'm wrong, I do apologise. It might be Richard Branson. There is another one similar, and I think it's like, what if we invest in our staff and they leave, and you're like, well, what if you don't and they stay? It's like, well, what do you want? You know, you don't really have a choice, do you? No. So, that's one of our major hurdles, that unfortunately a lot of business owners they don't believe in investing in their staff at all. It's like, here's your job, here's your role, 9 till 5, just get your job done, hit your KPIs. And that doesn't create a good culture. That doesn't create a I want to work with or for you sort of environment.
Yeah. Do you think that even creates okay, well, I'll just do the minimal that I have to do
for sure
each day, and that's all you're going to get?
Yeah, absolutely. We see it every single week, and it's the egotistical business owners as well that are not humble, and they don't believe they need training. We don't go in to say your business and say, hey, we're going to take over, we're going to be your new sales managers and business coaches. We almost want to come in as like a third layer, just an outside perspective. That's why we've got business coaches, because my business coach rips me to pieces. He's like, what are you doing? Like, this is horrendous. And take it on board, because I've seen the results. But a lot of business owners are really closed off to even listening to it. And it is what it is. Like, we don't want to convince people of anything. We want to inspire people to take action. And if you don't want to take action, then none of your team are going to take action for you either.
No, makes sense. And just that fresh set of eyes on the business. Like, you're in your business, you're doing things every day. Like, you might be missing something, and you know, you might realize it yourself 2 or 3 years down the track. But if you just listen to the advice of someone, you'd be like, oh, that you could have picked that up a long time before. And that's where it gets a little bit tough, because we've got to give some people a few home truths, and they don't always like it. So we do disclaim that at the start, that we're going to come into your business. We're going to be honest.
We're going to be brutally honest with you, and some of the waste in your business you might not want to hear about. And the aim is always to never remove any staff. We don't want to make anybody redundant, but to maximise. Sorry, you can hear some clapping in the background.
Culture.
Just got a sale. We want to maximise the efficiency of the team whilst they're working as well, by empowering them, telling them how good a company your company is, but you've got to sell us on that first.
So, mate, we've touched on ISR training, we've touched on Coreboard and Associates, and you own a third business with your wife, a hair and beauty salon. Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Absolutely. So my wife is actually Fijian Indian. She is from Auckland in New Zealand. I met her in 2000, I'm going to get in trouble, 2012, I think it was. And she's...
You know it was?
I'll go to the date. I'm not that brave. And she's been in hair and beauty, predominantly hair for around about 10 or 11 years on the Gold Coast. But she trained in Paris, so she's very, very good at what she does. But she was working for another salon. She used to work at Marina Mirage on the Gold Coast, at quite a high-end salon.
Yeah, definitely.
And she was doing okay, but during that time, I then started ISR, and I started to understand business a little bit more, and margins and profits, and how you can make money. And I just basically asked her the question, why have you not broke away and started your own business? And it just purely came down to fear of failure and not having the knowledge of how to start it. Essentially, she was bringing in around about 70 to 80% of the revenue for the business she was working at. So I don't like putting it like this, but I almost forced her into starting the business.
You just gave her like push in the right direction, you know what I mean? Which everyone kind of needs.
A gentle nudge, we call it. And she's very open to admitting that she's still learning, and we're both still learning. She's the expert in her field. I don't get involved. I have done a blow dry once, but I'm horrendous at it. I started a blow dry. She told me I was terrible at it.
Press this button.
Yeah,
you did
it was one of them. And I also washed somebody's hair once as well. So I have been hands-on twice.
Wear a few different hats, mate. That's fine.
For sure. I'm also the Saturday cleaner, so I go in there and I sweep the hair and do everything that she doesn't have time to do, because Saturday's a busy day. We started the business in 2016. It's 2 years old now, just over 2 years old. And she does hair, makeup, lashes, tanning, massage. They do everything. Nails, if I said nails. So it's a one-stop shop. It's I like to think it's a pretty cool place. I like fashion. I'm quite extravagant. My wife's even more so than me. So if that gives you an idea of what the salon's like,
you complement each other quite nicely. Then
absolutely, yeah. I can put a stupid suit on and she'll tell me that it's not crazy enough. And vice versa. So
needs to be brighter.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. The brighter the better. And the salon's the same. It's almost a New York / Paris theme. So it's all gold and black, and it's got a projector screen with Victoria's Secret's catwalk going on all the time. And we're looking to turn it into a jazz lounge in the evenings as well. That's progressing towards the back end of this year, so it's pretty cool.
It's definitely a very, very Gold Coast thing. I mean, if people are coming here on holidays, like you want, especially too, you want them to be like, have you been to that place down?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, Is that kind of why you go that extra mile with a lot of things like that?
Absolutely. I think it comes down to the business was built around our 12-step negotiation ladder. Practice what we preach, and the wow factor in creating a customer experience that far outweighs anything else in the market. So when you walk in, we want you to go wow. When you sit down, we want you to go wow. She's good at what she does. That's fine. That's a given. We know they're gonna love that. But there's champagne, there's strawberries. We're looking at getting a DJ to play on Saturdays. Like we want it to be, like you say, something else. That if you come to the Gold Coast, you have to have gone to Alicia Anjaya Hair and Beauty, for instance.
It's funny, like that is the way now with hairdressing, like and barbering and things like that. I mean, once upon a time it was you go in, you get your hair cut, have a chat, like that's kind of it. I got my hair cut yesterday at the beard trim, like at the place that I always go. And he's like, "Oh, do you want a beer, mate?" I'm like, "It'd be weird if I didn't."
Absolutely.
And like this guy, if I'm in there on a Sunday, he's got 4 or 5 cans that he's polished off from the time he's done my haircut. But that's the experience that I want.
For sure.
I'm going in there because I can have a beer, chat to this guy. I'd imagine that's almost a similar environment that you have created and are looking to expand on.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's an experience that we want, but if it's an experience that we don't expect to get and then we get it, it's even more powerful as well. So the word of mouth referrals and the repeat and loyal customers that she's got is really strong. And
you just mentioned about how sometimes you'll do something and you're like, oh, that was unexpected. Do you then try and sort of analyze that a little bit and go, what did we actually do here? Like, what was the thing? And then maybe try and recreate that in some way?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point in business in general, because we've made a lot of mistakes, and I'm quite critical of myself anyway. My engineering background means that I'm analytical. I break down everything. But one thing that one of my mentors said to me was that you've also got to analyze everything that you do correctly, which is sometimes hard to recognize. So we do make a conscious effort to once a month sit down with each of the businesses and really analyze what's going well and how can we optimize that even more so. And obviously working on the areas that we're struggling with as well. But taking a step back and recognizing what you're doing well is really important.
Yeah, that sounds excellent, mate. And so you've got the 3 businesses there playing sort of different roles in each. How have you gone about sort of scaling all of those at different times? And just, I guess probably I'm more interested to know, like, how are you able to manage 3 businesses that are all performing very well? How are you able to manage them week to week, day to day? Okay. How does that roll?
Week to week, day to day, it is tough. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy. I just work a 40-hour week and go home and watch The Bachelor. It doesn't happen, unfortunately.
I love The Bachelor.
It's twice I've mentioned The Bachelor.
Yeah, Married at First Sight's on now. I'm missing out on that.
So it's not easy. I think I'm very, very structured in my day. I do practice the Ivy Lee method, where you write down your 6 tasks that you've got to complete the next day. Yeah. You prioritize them, then you eat the frog and do the worst thing first thing in the morning. So my diary is very structured. My team know where I am at all times. And when I say my team, that's amongst all the businesses as well. One other area that I would also really encourage people to do if they don't do it already is get feedback from their team daily. And I mean individual personal feedback, not a stand up as a team and tell me how well your day's gone or what you've struggled with, but in an email format. So at 5 minutes before everybody clocks off in every one of my businesses, they have to send me an email telling me what was their productivity today. So what were the positives? What did they do well? What their concerns were, any struggles that they had, any questions they might have for me. And then thirdly, a wow factor. So how did they wow somebody today? How did they go above and beyond for one of our clients? So if there are any issues within any of the businesses, I know about it on the day, instantly. So I take a little bit of time, usually about half an hour, 45 minutes before I go to bed, and I'll read all of those and I can deal with it at source. And what it really enabled me to do was get an insight into people behind the scenes, because some people don't want to talk about their problems face to face. We've got keyboard warriors, but you've also got in your workplace, people get embarrassed.
Well, you got introverts and things like that, and people won't bring up things in. There's 7 or 8 people around here that be like, they don't want to bring it up. It's fine. It's just that's not how they are, right?
And I think that comes down to culture as well. A lot of bosses don't know their staff, or they don't. And when I say no, they don't know them inside out. So I could tell you 101 things about every single person that works alongside me, and I think that's really helped with any sort of hurdles that might come up. That there's no underlying factor of I don't want to say anything. I'll just keep it to myself. It's like I'll put it in this email and Ryan will deal with it. So that's worked well.
And does that help you with like sometimes, like obviously you're planning, you don't want to like get to work and be like, what am I doing now?
Yeah, oh, that
You
never
know?
happens. I'll freak
Yeah,
out.
yeah, and that system helps you just like avoid that. If you're sort of reading those things before you go to bed at night, you're like, and then writing your list, I suppose, you're like, well, you know, I know what I'm going to tackle.
Yeah, I know. The main thing I have to think about every single morning is what suit am I going to wear.
You can even get your wife's opinion on that too.
Yeah, and I'll ask her as well. Yeah, so and then I just have to get rid of all the dog hairs off my clothes. But that's pretty much it. I know where I am at all times. Like I say, everyone's got access to my diary. So if there's an appointment booked for me, I'll have a look at it the night before. I go, okay, tomorrow morning I'm here, and I'll know what time I've got to leave. So that's just the OCD in me. Like I can't turn up late or on time. If I'm on time, I'm late.
Yeah.
Like that's just the type of person I am.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good attribute to have anyway in business.
Yeah.
But do you like in the beginning? I'd imagine when it was possibly just yourself and Jack and just the two of you guys with bootstrapping or like you know getting started. I can imagine now it might be, I won't say easy, but if you've got assistants and things like that to like plan out your day, you almost kind of like they'll tell you where to go. Things like that. How did you go in the beginning, like just planning all that out yourself? Was it a little bit overwhelming, or just given your nature, you were like, you kind of enjoyed doing that?
No, it was overwhelming at times. Definitely, we were all over the place, and we were turning up late for people. The first is a truth that no one's ever heard before. The first ever in-house training course we did, and we had 14 clients that had come on board to do our training, and they were outside in the reception area waiting, and we were still writing a PowerPoint in the morning. There you go, you can have that one. Anybody that came to the first ISR course, I do apologise. Hope you enjoyed it. That was back in 2014, early 15. We were genuinely still writing it. So those types of moments, I was freaking out. Jack's pretty calm. He just goes with the flow. But it was hard. It was really, really hard. And that's where I learned about structuring my day. Like if I didn't know what I was doing at every minute of every single hour of every day, I wouldn't have got through it. Like I really wouldn't. Having a good, strong business partner has helped because you can obviously balance the tasks out a little bit. I think sometimes for my wife it's a little bit hard because I'm not in there all the time. So if you can find an ally, I think it's a really good person to have alongside you.
Really good investment. Just have someone go, mate, you got to be here. Like,
for sure.
Mate, we've jumped around a little bit. We've spoken about your different businesses and how you go about running all of them. It seems to me as though that you said before, business is business, and there's a lot of things that you can apply to depending on what not depending on what industry. Like they're all got
regardless
things that you have to do correctly. So what I want to know a little bit about, mate, is when you're looking to hire someone, what's probably the most valuable asset or attribute that you look for?
One word: attitude. 100% attitude. As I said, the business was created for people like me that were not the best salespeople in the world, especially this industry, the sales industry. And it was purely about work ethic and attitude as well. So I believe anybody can be trained to do anything if they've got the right desire to do it, first and foremost. Obviously, within the hair and beauty salon, they've got to have a level of skill in the role as well.
Or something.
But there's also a lot of red flags that would stand out for me, even if you've got fantastic attributes and you've been in the industry for 10 years, but you come into it and you've had 10 different roles in that 10-year spell, then that's a big red flag for me. Why have you chopped and changed so often? There's a few red flags that I do look out for when hiring. The major one, or another major one, would be when they start blaming external factors for the reason they're job seeking right now, or blaming external factors as a reason of why they left their previous employee or employer.
And when you talk about, like sort of 10 different jobs in the past 10 years in that one industry, is it maybe a difference between, someone's been in this trade or this role, similar role, but they've had 10 different jobs in that role? Is that a bit different to say, like, okay, you've jumped around to a few different jobs, but they're all slightly different? Like, do you think that maybe they're trying to find themselves rather than, hey, you know the skill that you want to do, but you've not got along with everyone else here along the way?
Absolutely. I think that's a really good way of putting it. That's bang on. So there's a huge difference between the two, but I would like them to tell me that. I don't want to induce that out of them. I want them to tell me the reason they've had 5 different jobs over 5 different industries over the last 5 years is that I really don't know where I fit and what my passion is. If they're open and honest to tell me that, then that's enough for me to go, do you know what, I reckon I can give you a go here, because if I can channel your energy in the right direction, you could be a real success in this industry. So that would override the fact that they've had 5 jobs. So that's a good way of putting it.
And again, that perhaps comes down to attitude. You're like, at least this person's going out and trying to seek different opportunities rather than like settling for probably less than what they think they deserve.
Yeah, and that's a good point in general. I think I've definitely been one of those people that settled. As I say, I was an engineer for 8 years, something that was never truly me. I kind of fell into that industry. I earned a lot of money, well, what is a lot of money, but as a 20-year-old, I was earning, I don't even know how to put it, $90,000 a year Australian, which is a lot of money compared to my friends back home and the people that I surrounded myself with. It was an awful lot of money at the time, so I felt that I was successful and I'd done all right. So I kind of just plodded along with that when I shouldn't have. I should have stayed true to who I was and realised that wasn't making me jump up out of bed every single morning. So I would much rather, and I did for the first 2 years of ISR, put 100 hours a week in something that I'm truly passionate about and earn no money, knowing that it's progressing me personally and professionally. Yeah,
no, it makes total sense, mate. And like, it just brings me to another question I got here. Like, getting your first business off the ground, have you found that was the hardest one?
Yes.
Easy decision there.
By a long way. Because I didn't come with business acumen. Like I say, I'd never ran a business before. All I knew was that I liked training people, I liked educating people and motivating people and trying to help them become the best version of who they can be. I love that, but I didn't know how to run a business, so I've had to learn
didn't know
all
how to structure that around.
And because I didn't have that background and because I hadn't previously had that education, I've probably gone full circle now and spent an awful lot of money for a start, but also an awful lot of time figuring out what not to do. And that's why I now want to educate people on what not to do, to save them that time, heartache, and obviously money as well.
Yeah, interesting. And on the topic of getting businesses off the ground, I mean, a lot of people might go about it different ways. They might work a job, side hustle, till they kind of balance it out so that the job makes no sense anymore. Some people might be in a fortunate position where they've, either not fortunate, but I mean, like, they've saved up a lot of money that they can afford to have 6 or 12 months off and build something without payment coming in. What advice can you give to people starting off? Like, when you started off, did you seek any outside investment, or was it simply just putting in that time, I guess, that sweat equity until everything kind of made sense?
Yeah, we did seek investment. We actually approached Commonwealth Bank that actually turned us down. We asked for $30,000, and we probably went with a really poor business plan with no credibility and no background, and they turned us down. And thank you. I'm glad they did turn us down, to be honest.
So blessing in disguise, really.
It really was, because it meant that we were more invested in the business. So if you got an outside investor, that's great. But are they as passionate about your product as you're going to be about your product? So no, in essence, we did seek outside investment. We didn't get it, and ultimately we started it with our own funds. So me and Jack went 50-50, and everything split down the middle ever since. So.
And did you find that perhaps made you a little bit more resilient and resourceful and thinking, oh yeah, we can pay for that? Like we can.
Apart from the office.
Apart from the office.
Apart from the flash office. Yeah, I think it did. I mean, we did make the common mistakes. We did spend an awful lot of money on the website. We spent money on business cards, and the website changed very quickly. So we went from ISR training to ISR training and recruitment, and so we wasted an awful lot of money.
You can spend 30 grand on a website if you really want to.
Absolutely. I'm starting to understand that now.
Yeah, definitely. Mate, you've been able to scale some of these businesses really quickly, especially you spoke about Cordwood, 4 months from sort of woe to go, I guess you put it. How does a business scale as quickly and as effectively as possible?
That's something we get asked quite a lot. For me, it is all about delegation and structure. So having the right structure in place, but also being able to delegate responsibilities to the right people that you trust. So that always comes around to who you surround yourself with. And I've touched on it, and I'll keep on saying it. The team that we've got here are phenomenal. I trust every single one of them with my bank account. And I think once you've got those people around you, you can work on the business instead of in the business quickly. And that takes time, because you've got to find those people, you've got to nurture those people into your culture, and you've also got to make sure that they're educated to the standard to service your clients the way you want them to as well. So definitely delegating the responsibilities to other people and building my team, so investing back into the business through personnel.
Yeah, just keeping investing back and then just growing that culture and that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Mate, what are the biggest problems that you see business owners have in their sort of first year or two? What are some of the common things that you see, whether people coming through your door or just things you observe?
Biggest problems would be wasting money, spending money on what I just touched on there, things that are not revenue generating, focusing on money on it, all the perception of what everybody else sees instead of just trying to drive revenue into the business. And again, the only reason I recognise that is because that was us for a long time. Not focusing on educating their team. They hire people and they just give them a role description. They expect them just to be able to do it instead of actually dedicating 15-20 minutes every single day to see whether they're in the right mindset, they're in the right headspace, getting the team together every single morning, finding out what do they do outside of work as well. Just because that side of things will really affect their ability to perform at optimum level within the business as well. So being one-dimensional, treating it as a them and us sort of business. You'll notice a few times I've said that this is with my team, not they don't work below me, they work alongside me. That is ingrained into us, and it's ingrained into the team as well, that they're on the same level of us as us. So try not to build that hierarchy to an extent.
I can agree with what you're saying. Like I've had different jobs, different bosses, different mindsets. I've had like we explained before, like do this now, like that kind of thing. One of the best bosses that I had is a little, not too long ago now, but he was at a bar and he was the F&B director, and some of I just took away a lot of things from him. And one of the things he used to say is he's like, I work for you, not you work for me kind of thing, because he wanted to create that environment where it was like, we need this, can this happen, because I need to do my job effectively. He would still I wouldn't say come down hard on us, but he would still be honest with us. But you could tell the difference between the people who were taking it as an attack and the people who were taking it as, no, he sees potential in you.
For sure, yeah.
Right? So is that something that you try and instill in like your workplace and you try and encourage others to put forward?
Yeah, and I think, again, that comes from a personal level. I had an old boss that must have seen something in me when I didn't see it in me, and he did push me hard and he wouldn't let me quit. And I think we've had that in here. We've had people that have questioned their ability to succeed in this industry. It's hard, as is every industry. And I think you need to give them the shoulder to cry on, but also give them a kick up the arse when they need it as well. And that's a bit of a balancing act. There's a lot of business owners, again, they've been maybe placed there, they've fallen into it through mummy and daddy, whatever it is, and they've got no leadership or management qualities. I'm sure everybody can think of somebody straight away.
Yeah, everyone knows a few people like that.
And that's frustrating. So they're the ones that we struggle to get past. So trying to educate them elegantly that maybe they're the problem. So looking at self, being, again, Gary Vee talks about it all the time, self-awareness is really important.
But that's good too, because if you, some people can go completely the other way, like blame themselves for things that's not their fault. But if you can at least take a bit of ownership, like that also gives you the power to fix it, I think. Rather than like, it's everyone else's fault, but like maybe a lot of those things are someone else's fault. But what could you do to like,
for sure,
change this or make this better?
I think accountability is huge with us here as well. Like for me, if this business is not going well, the buck stops with me and Jack, and we know that. With regards to training and educating people, it's never their fault if they're not performing. It's got to be my fault. Who trained them ultimately? So
who told them this?
So that's when we go into businesses. We'll get sales managers and we'll get CEOs, and they'll say, "Hey, I want you to train our staff to sell or train our staff to run my business more efficiently." I'll go, "Well, who trained them?" I go, "Well, I did." "Okay, perfect. Well, I'll train you and I'll rehabilitate your staff." because you're the problem, you're the root cause. Otherwise, if I train all of them and then they leave, you're going to bring new people in and you're going to train them the wrong way again.
Say the old thing that you were saying.
Exactly. So you're the root cause, and we've got to go. And they don't like hearing that half the time. But
rehabilitation, I like that one. That's awesome. Mate, I'm keen to just sort of touch on social media for a little bit. So what are there things about social that you like or that you don't like? What's your take on the whole thing?
Social media, it is something that I'm only starting to truly understand. We took on Courtney, who is our social media guru. She's sitting there in the corner filming us right now.
As she should be, as a social media guru.
Yeah. She's a digital marketing specialist, and I'm sure she feels like she's banging her head against a brick wall half the time, but some of it goes in. So I'm definitely appreciating the reach and the leverage you can get from social media and digital marketing in its entirety. What frustrates me would be the complete opposite to that, is that I just don't understand it. I don't understand the algorithms. Even today, over the last couple of days, Instagram's changed its algorithm. Facebook's just changed its algorithm on January the 1st, I do believe. There's a few people nodding in the room.
Some people are calling it Facebook Armageddon, but I think it's like going to be, I actually think it's going to be like a redistribution of attention, right? I see it as a good thing. So you know how people spoke about the GFC and losing all their money, but then you talk to other people and they're like, oh, best thing that ever happened, I made so much money.
Yeah, sure.
Right? That's what I think it's like.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned how you know, Facebook's changed its algorithm, Instagram's changed this. I think that's important to a degree, and if you are the real technical person, you can look through and sort of see how to optimize that. But what I'm looking forward to anyway is that I think that the way that things have changed are going to make a really great opportunity for people with compelling stories to actually win on social, because it's going to be less about clickbait and just getting a like and getting a share. It's more about people commenting, people being part of groups, communities. This is how we've met.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So rather than see social media as this, like, you know, face behind a screen thing, you got to see it as like, this is a chance for me to connect with people and to have meaningful conversations and relationships and things like that. So I think you'll find that people like yourself who just go out there and share authentically, that, you know, you're going to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I probably wouldn't be as tied up in the, you know, the algorithm side.
Yeah, I try. I don't think about it.
And that's what they want too, because they want to make it so that you're being rewarded for, if you've got interesting things to say to people, which like you share on your lives and things like that, like on the way to work, you're giving people solid value. And if people respond to it that way, the algorithm takes care of itself, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it just keeps people true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Is that right, or does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, cool. That's the answer I want. That's just my theories anyway.
No, I agree.
And I mean, and just around that, I mean, digitally or not so, just having a bit of a personal brand, is that something that you think is important moving forward for business owners or just professionals, anyone moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's essential. I mean, if we go right back to the start of ISR, where we spoke about our wow factor and our personal touch, we wanted people to come into the classroom and see us and feel us and really understand us as people, and we would tell our stories. To move into the digital age and for us to be able to scale, how do we do that digitally? We do it through being a personal brand and being a face. And Courtney made me start my public page the other day, kicking and screaming. But I think it's really important, because I do get to interact with people on a personal level. People are messaging me, and it is me that's replying as well. I'm getting five or six personal inquiries every single day for coaching, from a business perspective and a sales perspective from it as well. So I can see that it's working, but it does have to become part of your daily routine. So obviously big fan of the Gary Vee 180 strategy. It is something that I implement. Whether I'm spending the full 180, I'm not sure, but I'm giving it a real good go. And I'm across Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat. I still don't really know how to use.
That's okay. You'll figure it out. But the point of what you're doing is you're basically just leaving your 2 cents worth here and there. You're just trying to add value and just sort of see how that comes back. On that too, I mean, storytelling on social media is probably how you build that. How effective or how important do you see storytelling for any business owner or any business?
Yeah, I think, again, storytelling is sales for me. The best salesmen in the world are the ones that have an ability to tell third-party stories and first-party stories. They're two of our major tools when we're trying to influence or inspire somebody. So if you can't tell a compelling story that gets somebody emotionally and logically, and we know they buy an emotion and we justify on logic, we need to be able to surround them with both of them to create an airtight case. And that's the same with business. People want to understand the background. They want to understand where you came from, your struggles. They want to understand that you're vulnerable. Open up to people. I don't like the facade. I know I dress the way I do, but this is genuinely me, and the more you get to know me, you'll get used to it.
If you're consistent enough with that, they will see it.
I'm very consistent, Courtney. You probably see me on a weekend. I like dressing up. But people need to see that, like I say, consistently. If it's just a one-off, they're like, oh, did he just dress up for the camera? Do you know what I mean? So
I've seen that. That's a photo shoot, or like.
Absolutely, and you come across as inauthentic as well. So I'm not great on stage. I don't like public speaking per se. Like I said earlier, I love the one-on-ones, but I own it, and I just tell people that, because I'm sure when I talk tonight at the seminar, there's probably going to be 90% of the crowd that will feel exactly the same, and it means they can relate to me straight away. So I think it's important.
Relatable and authentic. They're probably the two keys to take it out of that. And is social media something that you cover in your trainings? Like as you spoke about being across digital marketing and things like that.
Yeah, we do. Not me. I'll be open and honest about that. That's not something I cover, but Courtney definitely offers a service with regards to digital marketing strategies. So when we go into businesses, we'll give them an opportunity we'll analyse their strategy, what they've got in place. Most of them don't even have a social media strategy in place, so
that could be dangerous in the next 5 or 10 years.
Absolutely, it's key. If you don't have a social media strategy or a digital marketing campaign ready to go, which Courtney's educated us on, we didn't up until 6 months ago.
August.
And we've grown nearly 500%, I think, since she's come on board. So it works. The proof's in the pudding.
100%. So mate, we've covered a few areas here, and you've given some huge value. So thank you very much for covering that. I'm keen to know what your goals are for 2018, business and personal, given we're at the beginning of the year at the moment.
I'll start with personal because it's been a goal of mine. I'd say forever, but it might sound a bit weird, is to become a dad. Would be a major personal goal. Me and my wife have been married for 2 years now. We've been together for 5, and I would have wanted to be a dad at around about 25 years old. I can't wait. So that's a major personal goal. Obviously not something I can directly control, but
we won't go there.
This will be the after 9 o'clock one. And then on a professional level, again, just to become the #1 sales training organisation in Australia, recognised everywhere. Any business that's thinking about sales or business coaching, I want you to think ISR straight away. It's just the name that rolls off the tongue. The way Grant Cardone is dominating that market at the moment, we want to knock him off his perch. And that might sound like a big claim, but that's definitely where we want to go.
Mate, what's it, shoot for the stars, land on the moon?
Absolutely, I'll be happy either way.
No, I think that's a great attitude and mindset to have, and just from the things you've been telling me, like you've been scaling massively in recent times, so I've got no doubt that you're going to give that a good shake.
Appreciate it.
No worries. Just one question to finish off, mate. You're very young and accomplished. I'm just wondering what you want to be doing with yourself for the next 10 years. I know that you wanted to know what your goals are for this year, but a bit further than that. I'm keen to know what direction.
I'm not that young, but next 10 years. Well, that's a big question. I think the book that I'm writing that I spoke to you guys about in between shoots was it's called 60-Second Legacy. I'm big on creating a legacy, whether that's within the 60 seconds of you leaving my office today. You're going to walk out, you two will be talking in the car as you drive home. You're going to say something about me. What did you say? That's my 60-second legacy for you. And I also want to turn ISR into a household name all around the world. So it's really, really establishing ISR around the world, I guess. Whether it takes 10 years or 20 years, I don't care, but it's a legacy that I want to create.
Nice. Well, sounds like you're committed and you've got all the building blocks in place. So all the best, mate. Thanks for coming on.
No, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on, mate. Given huge value to all our guests. So, guys, if you're watching or listening, don't mind where it is. Drop a comment or something like that. Give us your feedback. I'll have all of Ryan's details and the details of his companies in the post wherever it's relevant. This will go out to a few different areas. But I want to thank you guys for jumping on and spending time with us today. And we'll see you next time. See ya.
Cheers.
So, did you get a bit out of today?
Oh yeah, I learned a lot of things and how they started out, and I thought it was quite interesting. How about you? Did you learn anything?
I mean, one thing that I've found pretty interesting and something that I've been discovering, or not so much discovering, but I've been exposed to in the last month or so whilst I've been doing these videos, is just everyone's really got a story. Everyone's got something of value or something interesting to share, with the world. And what we do is a little bit more from a business perspective, but it's all relative. I mean, the stories that people have. It was great to hear Ryan share about, his back was really up against the wall. Like, I used the analogy when we were in the interview, it's like being a boxer up on the ropes. Like, you don't have a choice, you just got to throw punches. He was saying how he was living in his mate's bathroom, Lilo, and it broke, and he had $2 to his name and things like that, and the only other option was like go back to England, and which he didn't want to do. He didn't want that life, but it could have been very easy, I guess, for him at that point to just choose that and go back. Well, maybe it wouldn't have been easy, but it would have been maybe a simpler decision for him to make. But yeah, he dug his heels in, and he's a credit to himself. So it was really cool to have him share his story, and it's just great to also. It's cool to actually go and visit someone's business. Like I know a few of these that we've done, we've gone to cafes and whatnot and just tried to bring them to us, which is cool too. It's good to get a few of those videos out in the one day, but it's pretty inspiring too. Like going to someone's business and seeing exactly what they've built. Again, it tells a story, like he's explaining how he's got the two offices side by side that he can do both of the businesses out of, and yeah, I really sort of admire, I really do admire the fact that he can juggle several businesses at once, with the hair and beauty salon that his wife runs, and meeting her again also today at the seminar just afterwards is just it's just really cool being around people that have done some really big things and are continuing to strive even further. So I definitely got a lot out of today with some of the things that Ryan was saying. One of the things that really resonated with me is how he spoke about I guess bosses and employers and whatever, and how creating that culture within a business. And to be frank, I've been involved with companies that the culture's just fucking shit. Like, I can't really put it any other way. I've over the course of my time, I've had a few really good bosses. I'm not gonna lie that I've had some real fucking shit ones too. And it's just refreshing that the methods that he's teaching and what he's putting across is that there's a better way. And I know that personally, when someone talks down to me, when someone tries to belittle me, when someone tries to hang something over my head, they're getting sweet fuck all out of me. And that's just that. But I know that you don't have to be coddled. You don't have to be get any sort of special treatment. But just the rather than having this condescending, looking down on you sort of mentality, making sure that everyone's equal and treated fairly, I think that's a much better way to go about things. And it's just great. I think that there's maybe the tide's turning with that. I feel maybe that you're probably the same. If someone wants to, put it this way, if someone tries to nurture you, or someone tries to bring you some value within a business or a organisation or whatever, you're gonna want to be there, aren't you?
Yeah, of course.
And it's probably going to bring out your best work. Like one of the cool points that he brought up was about not necessarily having like start and finishing times. And I thought that was great. Like we were actually talking about this on the way down, about like just even little things like going to get your car serviced, and you're like, but I got to do business hours, and even little things like that. You can, the fact that you're like, look, if I have something on in the morning, I can deal with that, and if I've got something on the afternoon, and you just hit your goals, you do what you got to do, and everyone's happy.
Well, and like how he was saying about tasks and stuff, and he's got 6 tasks he has to do before a certain time.
Yeah, and that was interesting too. So like just touching on what I was saying then, I think that environment where you kind of not free to come and go as you please, but you have some flexibility. It won't work in all businesses, but where it can be implemented, I think you'll find that most staff will be inclined to put in the extra effort, because they're like, okay, they do pretty well by me, I'm going to roll up the sleeves and whatnot. And interesting to know some of the ways that he goes about his work. I think he said that he thinks he has a little bit of a case of OCD, which it could be, even just being a little bit that way might be able to help him, because if you're organised, it's going to help you a lot. And it was great what he said about getting the staff last 5 minutes before they go. They send him an email, and then he reads them before he goes to bed at night, and like writes a list, and he's like, okay, these are the things I've got to do. So I think that was interesting, because that I feel would stop things from festering in a business. Like I've been employed in businesses where things go on and they go on, they fester and they fester, because there's no chance or ability to bring something up as it happens. And if you do bring something off, like you're just a whinger or something, when you're just like, you're trying to say, hey, this is something's wrong at the moment, here's a way that I think we might be able to fix it. But yeah, it was just his overall approach was quite refreshing to see how he goes about things, and he brought a lot of value to me, and I think that in the episode he'll bring a lot of value to everyone else. What do you think?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I think you learnt a lot from him. I think he learnt a lot from us as well. So.
Well, that's a good point, because like what are some of the things I'm trying to create with these videos and podcasts and whatever is, like, I'm just trying to see how I can be of value to someone else. If they can be of value to me, then great, but I know that me putting that out enough will, I'll get it back in return. I'm not really sort of worried about that. It might be, I think, like when people say proximity is power, like things like that, that's super important to me. Like, that's why I choose to live in the CBD, because I know that it's going to be easier for me to get around to see the people that I want to be around. Doesn't mean that like you can't be successful not living in one of those locations. But what I'm saying is that if I want to be around a certain type of people doing a certain type of things, I have to go to where they are, and I have to meet them, and I have to pick their brains, and that's the value in it. Just for me, like, I get to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, with someone who could bring huge value to me and to my audience. You can't really put a price on that. Like, to get that information off people and then for me be able to give something back and explain some things to him about social media, which he was quite honest today that there were bits and pieces that he's not quite up on, and technical things, which brings me to another point of that he didn't let not knowing as much about computers and technology and whatever, he didn't let that be a thorn in his side. He is just humble enough, I guess, to be like, I don't know it, or I know that there's other people out there that will know it a lot better than me, and then they go and get them to do that task for them. So that, I feel that, I guess the thing that I could give then to him was, in our conversation that we had in the interview, was just a little bit more about social media. I mean, a lot of people are talking about the Facebook Armageddon and things like that. And, I think it's great. I think it's, people talk about the GFC and they're like, oh, I lost so much money, and then you got people going, yeah, it was the greatest thing that ever happened. I'm not trying to like judge anyone in that scenario, but what I will say is that, like, a lot of people are seeing this as a negative, and I see it as a massive opportunity. I think it's a redistribution. GFC was a redistribution of wealth. This is a redistribution of attention, and I'm really keen to be a part of that, on the right side of it. And I feel like those people that do have those compelling stories, the people that are genuine, the people that are authentic, the people that are trying to, for example, I met Ryan in a group for entrepreneurs, and I reached out to him. I reached out to a bunch of people trying to find out, who's from Australia, who can I talk to, who can I collaborate with, and in the last week and a half, I've met 3 people off that same group. So to me, social media is displaying authentically just displaying authentically and displaying the realness on your mobile, or like on digital. It's not trying to craft something that's not real. It's not trying to pretend you're something that you aren't. Like, it's just you sharing the truths, like sharing things that are authentic, but using social as the platform. So I think all these changes that have been happening and going on, I think that they're actually trying to get people to be more real, get people to have it to be more about community. And that's probably the key word, is community. So we were part of a community online. Yeah. So I took an online friendship because we're both obviously like-minded people, and then I took that, physical, and I've just made a, potential friend for life in business. And that's what and that's how I view social media. I don't see it as this like evil thing, and I know that it's got pros and cons. I'm not gonna pretend that it's all perfect, but you got to have balance. Like, you couldn't have night without day, you wouldn't have good without bad. Like, if everything was good, you wouldn't know what evil was like. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got to have,
definitely.
Yeah. So, or they say you got to have a good apple, a bad apple to appreciate a good apple, like that kind of thing. So, yeah, I admit that there's some things that aren't perfect, but that's Facebook and whatever. They've gone about actively changing that. So, yeah, I think it's all about community. Now it's all about being authentic. Now it's all about being real. All the people that have been faking it, all the people that have been putting out bullshit, all the people that aren't being true to themselves, they're going to be the ones that crumble. So, I'm building a business. I'm doing lots of things at the moment. I'm working real hard to make use of my time, and people hopefully will see that and they'll resonate with them, and yay. If it doesn't, I'm not too bothered, because it's just, I'm going to put out what I'm like. I'm going to put out what I'm doing, and if people like that, then great. And if I can build something around that, fantastic. But yeah, just what's pretty exciting for me now is that we've got 8 episodes now. I'd really like to put out at least 40 by the end of the year, and like off what we've done now, I mean, I could do that in 5 or 6 months, potentially. So I don't think 40 or even 50 is too ambitious. But I still know that that's a lot of work. But hey, I just feel like it's a great time to be doing all this sort of stuff. Like, you think back 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, and some of this stuff wasn't happening. But why I also kind of feel the need to put this stuff out a little bit and get a bit more and get around these people. Like, one, I just fucking enjoy it. Like, I actually enjoy, like, having the camera there, talking to these people, having really, really good quality conversations. That's probably the thing that I mean. I love to have a laugh around with people. Like, I'm the first to make a joke to lighten the mood or whatever, but I also enjoy the serious, more in-depth conversations about what makes people tick and why they do certain things. And that's what I'm finding really cool about this, is that the quality of the conversations I'm having seem to improve, and I think that's really important. So I'm really keen to see how this all goes. And another reason too, like, I've made some, like, I'll say predictions or observations or whatnot in the past, and it's time for me to sort of put my money where my mouth is a little bit. Like, I sent my mate a screenshot the other day of a photo I found, and I said to my mate, it was my 24th birthday, so it was 2013, and I remember saying to him, I was like, watching these girls take photos of themselves at this restaurant there, I think it was Jay Buddha in the city, and I was like, this Instagram thing's pretty big. I wonder if it would be a thing to have someone follow you around to take photos for your Instagram. And this was well before it was being utilised how it is now. Like, the platform was only not even a year old at this point, I don't think. But I could see how people were using it. I was like, okay, this is more than just you taking a photo of what you're doing, you're telling a story around that, right?
Yeah.
So there would be possibly some need to, or desire, maybe it's not a need, but at least a desire for people to take a professional approach to their profiles. So this is
self-branding.
Yeah, personal branding, like all that kind of thing. you know, I was probably thinking way more into it than what these girls were, taking photos of themselves drinking wine at the bar. But that was just where my mind was going, is like the behaviour that was going on. And I said to him, you know what, I reckon it's going to be a thing to have an Instagram photographer one day. That someone's going to follow you around to take some photos of you just in your sort of everyday life, or if you have something on. I know that sounds a little bit similar to having a photographer, but I just think it's a little bit different, like in that you're not there to get them to take like super professional, perfect photos, but you at least have someone else to take the photo, in that, like, not take a selfie, right? So not have every photo with like half your arm in it, like actually you're doing something and you take a photo of it so that you're not taking the photo yourself. And yeah, it probably sounded a bit strange at the time, but then so I see this screenshot and it's got this girl saying, oh, you know, I'm charging X amount an hour for which is a pretty like slightly reduced rate for, I feel, for general, you know, your normal photography. But it was because you literally just, I'm going to rock up with a DSLR camera, take the photos, edit to them, give it to you. There's no like lighting, there's no props, there's no all the hair and makeup, whatever else is involved. But yeah, she was offering photography for Instagram, and I was like, this is exactly what I said nearly 5 years ago, and it's happening. So yeah, I'm not Nostradamus, I'm not like some grand philosopher, but I could also see that, and I could also see that people were people were using the people with large followings to promote their products. So you'd see, you know, put this code in your checkout, get 10% off, and they'd wear the product. And I was like, wow, that seems like a really awesome way to target, if the person has 5 or 10,000 followers. I'm like, well, you know, they're local here, like most of these followers are potentially local and whatnot. I was like, wow, this is a really low cost way for people to get their businesses seen or their products used and seen. And yeah, now it's 2018, and it's kind of like people are making 6 figures off taking some of these photos, as we heard tonight. Like some of those figures about, you know, people being offered tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and, you know, like Conor McGregor with high smile teeth. I mean, I think that was probably $1 million from judging what his post said. So yeah, so maybe it's strange times, but it's interesting times for me seeing all this unfold. So yeah, I'm keen to keep documenting this and hoping that I can bring another awesome 8 episodes to everyone after this one. And yeah, just looking forward to see where it all goes.
Yeah.